Hello and welcome to another weekly update. A little bit different, I guess, this week. Not really, but the way I normally kind of look back at the week and the things that have been happening in the week and the things that I think are interesting, it became fairly apparent when reviewing the published blogs and news articles this week that COVID-19 was a fairly dominant theme, which is kind of no surprise really. So I thought what I'd do this time round is give you 6 links that I think might help you if you're working in an organisation that is taking steps, or if you're just interested anyway. If you think you might need to take steps yourself, just six blog posts and news articles that I thought were interesting. I think it would be good to go through them and go into them, not in a kind of scaremongering way, but not in an ignoring sort of way. I think we've all, if we haven't been affected, then I think it's probably it's going to come. Certainly, I've been impacted. Like my travel for conferences has been curtailed, as you know from last week. There's an event I was supposed to be speaking at has been cancelled. Another event I was supposed to be going to has been cancelled. These are inconveniences, and I don't want to overplay them, especially compared to people dying, which is awful, obviously. And I don't want to sort of minimise the impact of that, but it's changing how we work. I think it's making a real difference, and so I think looking at these 6 links as well, it's interesting. Many organisations are looking very, very seriously at home working in a way that I don't think they were before. I think it's always been on the piece of paper. It's always been sort of home working where it makes sense, but it sort of feels like people are really taking it seriously now, which is interesting for me, working in an organisation that has done flexible working and working from anywhere since the very beginning and since when I joined 8 years ago. So it's very interesting. Anyway, so let's get into it. First blog post by Jared Spataro. He's a corporate vice president for Microsoft 365. I had the honour to talk to him at Ignite. There's a video in my list of Ignite videos all about that. You can go and watch that. But this is a good blog post because actually it's a guest blog post by the sort of the director, in fact, of Microsoft China. So Lily Zheng, and she's got some really good advice, really kind of straight from the field. They've been doing this for a couple of weeks now. They've got some really good advice for things that they've picked up from doing it at scale in Microsoft in China. So that blog post is worth a kind of a high level overview of things you can do, some good advice, steps you can take. It's not pushing any particular agenda. It's just, here are some things you can do if you find yourself suddenly working from home and you've never done it before. Next up, another blog post, also by Jared Spataro, and this is about the steps Microsoft are taking to make it easier for organisations and individuals to work from home, specifically around Microsoft Teams. The kind of headline is that they're making it free to use pretty much for everybody. If you're an individual, you can go download it. If you're a IT pro and you want to roll it out centrally, you can get a free E1 license for 6 months. In education, you can use a Office 365 A1 license. And they've removed some of the restrictions around the freemium version. Beginning 10th of March, so 3 days time, they are going to be removing the user limits on the freemium version. Also, they're going to make it possible in the future to schedule meetings. At the moment, meetings are just ad hoc. So they're taking a number of steps just to make it easier to get up and running. And I think that kind of tactical approach is a good idea because, if you suddenly find yourself at home and you haven't thought this stuff through, you do need to be able to kind of jump to something pretty quickly. Something that's already part of Office 365 makes an awful lot of sense. There's less onboarding. It's already there. It's Microsoft. It's trusted. You understand it. So that was good. Right, this is from the tech community, and it's a slightly different point of view on a similar kind of subject, and it's a guest post by Lola Jacobson. She's a senior technical writer at Microsoft, and it's 4 tips from working from home. So, yeah, so these are good. Again, maybe advice for your staff, maybe advice for you. Maybe if you've never done any homeworking before, or not done a great deal of homeworking, it's worth going through these tips because these are from people that do it day in, day out, and there are things you can do. As much as anything else, it's about being conscious of what you're doing, what you're not doing. I think it's very easy to go actually and work more than you might in the office, not take breaks, not be so cognizant of that work-life balance when you're at home. It's very easy for work to expand to fill the time you have at home. And so being mindful of things like that are quite important. So there's some really good tips in there as well. Speaking of tips, another blog post, this one a bit close to home. So this is from Modality's blog. I didn't write it, I had nothing to do with it. But it is some advice for senior management, sort of when considering what to do when you're asking a large workforce to work from home. So again, as I sort of said, we've been doing this for a while, so this is kind of some really good tips. It's from Tom Arbuthnot. He works for Modality Systems, principal architect. I work alongside him quite a lot. These are some really good tips actually, and again, Tom's been in this world for a long time, working from home, working from anywhere, working with people at Modality day in, day out who also work from anywhere. So I think as a company we've got some good ideas, like we've been through the mill a couple of times, we know what works and what doesn't, so all that's in that blog post, so go and read that if that's interesting. We're going to run out of time. Alright, so a couple of days ago, or yesterday in fact, Microsoft posted a new blog around Microsoft for healthcare, empowering our customers and partners to provide better experiences, insights and care. This isn't specifically a response to COVID-19, but it's obviously come at quite a sort of interesting time. It's all about how teams can work smarter. It's how partners, and so healthcare partners, can work better, provide better experiences. A big part of that is remote working. There's some other stuff in there as well, around integration with FHIR, which is the fast healthcare interoperability resource format, which is a healthcare specific resource format for sharing information. There's some new data platforms. There's a reference to Azure Sphere and how that can help in the healthcare sector. So that's a kind of higher level, this is what Microsoft are doing in healthcare, kind of blog post, which you might be interested in as well. Finally, just heading back to Modality Systems for a minute, and something I am a little bit more involved in, I've probably spoken about it on here before. Modality has, and this isn't supposed to be a big plug or anything, it's just hopefully you'll see how it does be very, how it is very relevant actually to the things we've been talking about this week. Modality Systems has a remote consultation platform called OneConsultation, and we are offering it for free to NHS Trusts in the UK to help fight COVID-19. So that's the step we're taking. There's all the details are in the blog post. The NHS is kind of being asked to consider remote working where possible. So if you're in the NHS and you're reading this and you're thinking that's great, we're being asked to do remote working, but how on earth do we do that? We don't even know where to start. Maybe this is for you. There are other solutions out there, obviously. But yeah, maybe it's worth a look. All right, that's everything from me. Very kind of focused in on the responses and the information available around COVID-19 deliberately. Back to sort of regular blog posting, like review and things next week. There's some really kind of exciting news coming next week that I'm excited about. So we can talk through that at the end of next week. But have a great rest of weekend, and I will speak to you again next time.